One of the cool things about Unity is that we're not necessarily just limited to the artwork that we can create, such as these red cubes and gray cubes. We can bring in artwork, textures, 3D assets from other people in the world, and a lot of these for free actually, which is kind of cool. How we can do this is we have to visit the asset store. But before we get into there, let's take a look at our scene. So at the moment, we have our player, we have a red ground, and we have a bunch of gray or silver blocks. Let's start thinking about a theme that we might want to go with. I'm thinking I'm going to have a road with some barriers maybe. So now that I kind of have an idea of what I'm looking for, let's click on the asset store. So from here, we have a whole lot of different areas and categories that we can look at. We're going to go with the search, and we're going to just go with texture materials. From there, I get a whole lot, and the first ones I get are all pretty costly and expensive, so that's not great. So we're going to go over down to pricing and hit free assets. And this gives us a large list of free stuff that we can use within our project. So I was looking for a road, and let's see what we have here. Asphalt materials. So I can click on it and see exactly what this might look like. And I can look around. Ooh, 2D texture materials roads. Let's look at this. So I'll go to roads, go down again, make sure I click free assets. And I can see what they get. Pavements. So I'm going to hit download. And then I can hit import. So I'll click import. Here you can choose what exactly you want to import. I don't know what I want yet, and I'm not really trying to optimize anything at the moment. So I'm going to make sure that everything is selected, and I'll just click import. Now I'll just look down here and see if I have pavement texture pack. That looks about right. So in here, I'll click pavement 1, looks like this. All right, let's go back into our scene, and I can click and drag just like that. Let's try playing, see what it looks like. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Now if I go in here and I notice that it looks pretty stretched, right? So that's not great. Let's go and see if we can mess with that a bit. So here we have our renderer, we have our pattern right down here. Tiling is currently set from 3 to 3. If I select 1 to 1 there, I go and play. Now it is even more stretched out. So let's try it in the opposite direction. Let's do 8 and 8. That looks a bit better. All right, so now that I have that, we can maybe use some construction looking textures for up here. So let's go back to the Unity store. So now we're going to go check in and see if we can find something for, I don't know, road barriers. Let's type in road and make sure we have free asset and road blocker. That looks pretty cool. So this guy's good. We'll import that. Let's go back into our scene and zoom in on one of these guys. Let's see, go into materials. Now you'll notice that all the materials are these spheres and not just these pictures. These pictures are just kind of display pictures to show what the materials would look like. However, these roundy little guys that end in .mat, those are actual materials. So let's click on this and drag it in there. That looks pretty cool. Let's do a couple different types. Let's play, see how it looks. That's pretty cool. I like that. All right. So let's say that I wanted to expand this to not just have my little cubes that I've created for the barriers, but maybe like a cone or something like that. I can go into Asset Store, Construction Cone, Industrial Prop Set. All right, let's download. Continuing on with my road theme, import, industrial props. Cool. All right, so let's go to our scene. Now, because this is a actual object that we're going to be putting onto our scene, that means that we could use just the textures, but it makes more sense because there's probably a prefab, and prefab is an object shaped out and has all of the attributes that we want put onto it. That could be a texture, it could be movement, all sorts of stuff. So we have a construction code. About there, looks good. So now we have our construction cone. We can hit duplicate. And then we have another one. Cool, let's try that out. All right, I like it. So now we have a ton of these just kind of sitting here, right? And that's a little bit hard to keep track of. If you imagine we had 1,000 assets on here, this would take up a huge amount of space. So there's an organizational trick that we can use here. What we're going to do is we're going to go into Game Object and we're going to create an empty. What it is truly just an empty object. It's a thing that sits on there that has nothing. It's usually used as a holder for some other materials. So I'm going to name it cones. And then we can select all of these guys, drag them under cones, and then collapse it. Now all of our cones are underneath this collapsible structure. And that's it. Have fun with this. Do make sure that you only select the free assets, otherwise you'll have to pay for them, and that's not good. And you would be amazed at how much you can do for free within Unity.